Okay, let's dive into this explainer. We live in this area that's completely defined by constant connection, but ironically, also by constant distraction. It literally feels like every single app, every platform, and every screen is engineered from the ground up to grab our attention. But what if we could take the very device responsible for so much of this noise and just flip the script? Today we're exploring a really powerful concept, using technology to help you focus, center yourself, and intentionally drown out that endless cacophony of social media noise. We're going to look at a built-in feature that is quite literally designed to give you your mind back. Are we trapped in a digital cacophony? Seriously, just think about your daily routine for a second. The endless pings, those banners dropping down from the top of your screen, that subconscious, almost itchy urge to check your feeds. This constant barrage of notifications creates a very real, very heavy cognitive load on us. We are essentially wandering through a crowded digital room where everyone is shouting at the exact same time. And honestly, it leads to a profound sense of fatigue. It makes it harder and harder to just hear our own thoughts.
The cacophony of social media versus the symphony of silence. This right here is the absolute core tension of our modern digital lives. On one side, we've got the cacophony of social media, the fragmented attention, the mental exhaustion of endless scrolling, the low-level anxiety of staying constantly updated. But on the other side, we have the symphony of silence. Now, this isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of an intentional, calm, auditory environment. It is the restorative power of choosing what you hear, which actually allows your brain to finally downshift from a state of constant red line alert into a state of deep, uninterrupted flow.
Act 1. Papa's Airplane Sanctuary.
The background noise helps to drown out other stray sounds, which are inevitable on any long-haul flight. That's a quote from Papa. To really grasp this philosophy, I want you to picture a loud, chaotic, long-haul overseas flight. The engines are just aggressively humming, the AC is roaring, and the cabin is totally alive with that restless energy of hundreds of passengers. Well, this is exactly where the author of our source newsletter, Papa, found himself. He was exhausted, trying to rest, but he was surrounded by the inescapable roar of the airplane, the lively chatter from his spouse, Colonel Debs, and the conversational chiming in of his father, Papa Q-Bear. He needed an escape hatch, right? And he found his sanctuary. Not by jamming in earplugs to block the world out, but by using his device to actively mask the chaos around him.
A steady auditory anchor. What he basically figured out is the absolute power of having a steady auditory anchor. You see, it actually isn't necessarily loud noises that wake us up or break our focus. It's sudden changes in our acoustic environment. A sudden laugh, a dropped cup. By playing a steady, continuous stream of neutral noise, you create an auditory blanket. It acts as an anchor that successfully masks those sudden, stray distractions, effectively smoothing out your brain's transition from high alert into deep, restorative rest.
Act 2. The Science of Silence. Accessibility. Noun. Not just a niche setting, but a universal superpower for focus and mental health. Papa's airplane experience isn't just some neat little travel hack, right? It's actually rooted in auditory science. Let's examine how manipulating the sounds around us can profoundly alter our daily mental state. And what's fascinating is how Apple categorizes this. They place this feature inside the accessibility menu. Historically, we've kind of viewed accessibility settings as these niche tools for a small group of users with very specific diagnosed needs, but we are totally reframing that today. These features are actually universal superpowers for everyday focus, cognitive regulation, and just overall mental health.
Who benefits from background sounds? Well, we're looking at ADD and autism focus, tinnitus masking, anxiety management, and general sleep aid. The net here is just incredibly wide. For the neurodivergent community, particularly individuals with ADHD or autism, these sounds provide a really vital way to regulate overwhelming sensory input, making it so much easier to maintain focus. For those living with tinnitus, these sounds provide profound relief by masking that constant ringing in their ears. Furthermore, this steady sound acts as a highly effective tool for managing daily anxiety and serves as a powerful, entirely non-medicinal sleep aid for anyone struggling to wind down.
Act 3. Building your mental fortress.
1. Open settings. 2. Tap accessibility. 3. Select audio and visual. 4. Turn on background sounds. We get the philosophy, we get the science, so now let's actually build your protective barrier. The beauty of this is its utter simplicity. If you're on an iPhone or iPad running iOS 15 or later, the path is super straightforward. Just open your Settings app, tap on Accessibility, select Audio and Visual, and simply toggle on Background Sounds. And here is an absolutely vital point.
Because this is baked directly into the operating system, it requires zero internet connection, zero third-party subscription apps, and it processes entirely on your device, meaning your auditory fortress is completely private. The soundscapes. We've got rain, ocean, stream, white noise, dark noise, and bright noise. Once you toggle that on, you're presented with this really rich palette of auditory textures. You can choose the organic patter of rain, the rolling rhythm of the ocean, a gentle stream, or the more static consistency of white, dark, or bright noise. And brilliantly, you can customize the volume of these sounds to mix perfectly right beneath your favorite podcast, audiobook, or your music. It doesn't replace your media, it provides a calming foundation underneath it.
A rising tide of focus. Let's think of this as a rising tide of focus. In recent iOS updates, Apple actually introduced incredibly granular equalizer settings for these background sounds. This means you aren't just playing noise anymore. You are actively filtering your reality. You can adjust the balance and tone to specifically block out distracting frequencies. Like, imagine tuning out the sharp, annoying chatter of a busy train terminal while letting through a wider, richer soundscape to keep your mind perfectly centered. It's a total game changer.
The synthesis, reclaiming your focus.
3 ways to master your soundscape. Add and resize an iOS 18 control center, set a clock app's stop playing sleep timer, and enable the backtap accessibility shortcut. So, knowing this feature exists is really only half the battle, right? The true power lies in seamless integration into the friction points of your daily life. Here are 3 super easy ways to make it effortless. First, add the background sounds icon directly to your control center. In iOS 18, you can even resize the icon so it's always big and prominent. Second, if you use it for sleep, go into your clock app's timer, scroll all the way to the bottom, and select Stop Playing. This ensures your ocean waves shut off automatically after you fall asleep. Third, enable the backtap shortcut in your accessibility settings. This lets you summon your Symphony of Silence with just 2 quick taps on the physical back of your phone. Android users, Google Assistant, third-party apps, or sound amplifier. And just to ensure everyone can build this sanctuary, let's look at the other side of the aisle. If you're an Android user, you are absolutely not left out. You can construct this exact same mental fortress by simply using Google Assistant voice commands to play ambient audio. You can explore rich third-party apps on the Play Store or utilize the built-in sound amplifier accessibility tool on devices like the Pixel to actively reduce chaotic background noise in your specific environment.
What will you build with your newfound Symphony of Silence? Which brings us to our final thought. Papa really showed us that we can find peace at 30,000 feet, completely surrounded by the chatter of Colonel Debs and Papa Q Bear, simply by taking control of our soundscape. In a world that is desperately and constantly fighting for your attention, intentionally using technology to curate your own peace is honestly a radical act. It is a way of reclaiming your focus. So I leave you with this. What will you build? What will you create? Or how deeply will you rest with your newfound Symphony of Silence?